So, yeah, I can actually say, I can look at this Royal Rumble and say, holy shit, they got a lot of things right. They got the matches correct. So, that's a first after how many years of Royal Rumble screw-ups? Like, 2017 was great. Could have been one of the best if the right guy won, aka Wyatt, or anyone that was not Reigns or an established veteran. And, yeah. Like, the Royal Rumble 2016 was just there to put Triple H and Roman Reigns into this feud, even though they could have done, like, a trillion other ways to do it. 2014 and 15, okay, yeah. 2015 was just bad timing because if Bryan did not announce his return from injury, or if fans did not just accept the fact that Bryan had just came back from neck surgery and people want him to go against the guy who not only does a German suplex repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over, but WWE has had developed a fetish for letting people target the injured, repaired area. And then 2014 should have been Bryan's year, however, at the Royal Rumble, but they said, no, fuck that. So, yeah, let's get right into it. But, so go to the pre-show. We got, due to the Cruiserweight scandal that's currently going on regarding Enzo Amore, since he's now been terminated from WWE, and more information came to light that this is indeed not true, so... yeah, they fired him because they just didn't like him, apparently. And the fact that I kept hearing that he hid the allegation stuff and Vince just told him to get out, which signifies, yeah, he's done. So, Kalisto, Gran Metalik, and Lance Dorado took on TJP, Gentleman Jack Gallagher, and Drew Gulak in a 6-man tag team cruiserweight matchup. Yeah, I didn't really give a care. In fact, I was surprised this got 13 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah. And yet, the match was basically an empty arena match, so no one was watching, pretty much. So they finally are allowed to get enough time to actually do a quality match, and it just happens to be at the time where there's virtually no one in the building. I wonder what that has to do with. So, yeah. The Masked Luchador wrestlers win their match against... TJP, who I'm trying to wonder, is he a heel or is he a face again? I really don't know. Gentleman Jack Gallagher, who's doing virtually nothing. And Drew Gulak, who just lost his money-making opportunity to really get pushed in the mainstream thanks to Enzo Amore's release. So, yeah, really, no one's going anywhere. No one wins anything. So then, we move forward and we get the Revival, aka the guys who got screwed by Vince because they dare say they were professional wrestlers and not sports entertainers, because, you know, Vince is really offended by that. And the fact that this was a long-running program of wrestling that has featured copious amounts of violence, sex, murder attempts, killing off wrestler characters because they want to repackage them for some reason. Yeah, but apparently the most offensive thing is saying the word professional wrestling. Because, I don't know. I really don't know. So they want revenge against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. And, okay, I'm just getting a very, very, very strange flashback when I look at this match. It's the fact that, really think about it. Didn't the Ascension have the same thing? Like, think about it. The Ascension got their asses handed to them by DX, the NWO, and then they had a match regarding the people who attacked them at Royal Rumble 2015, and now the Revival's doing the same thing, but this time with actual full-time wrestlers who are not established veterans, in WWE at least. Yeah, I'm just getting Ascension flashbacks, like, because they dare say they're professional wrestlers, that apparently means that they need to be screwed over. And yes, the Ascension won their match, and so did the Revival, but even then, like, even when the Ascension won, they still got somewhat screwed over in the long run. But we're going to have to see how the Revival's handle going forward, since they defeated Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. And yeah, there was a major key highlights to the show. I never thought I would say that for Royal Rumble. Usually that's the place where it's disappointment settling in. So, remember that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were on this show. Now let's get to Bobby Roode versus Mojo Rawley for the United States Championship. Bobby Roode cuts a promo saying that this is now the glorious U.S. Open Challenge. And yeah, Mojo Rawley answered first. In fact, I was honestly suspecting it was going to be Dolph Ziggler. But nope, it wasn't it. And the match was only 7 minutes and 45 seconds long. Okay, yeah, that timing is not a good thing. I know that they're on the pre-show, but the fact that... Here's the key problem. With the Cruiserweights, they can do fast-paced wrestling. Bobby Roode's style, from what I've seen in NXT, relies on more conservative, slow-paced wrestling style. Like, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Roode was a great match. They got a lot of time to work with it. Shinsuke Nakamura and Bobby Roode, they got good matches, and they had to work a longer match than usual. That's Bobby Roode's style. His is more like slow-paced wrestling, but they're basically telling him, hey, Bobby Roode, I know you're used to slow-paced wrestling, but we need you to be fast and really aggressive more so in less than 8 minutes. Oh, and work with a guy who isn't really on your level. Yeah, that's just a recipe for disaster. And all throughout the show on Twitter, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were making Twitter comments towards people basically insulting them, so to speak. And they kept responding and responding. That was the real highlight of the pre-show. And then we hear that AJ Styles and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match was going to be the kickoff match for the show, which I was like, what? Why? Like, they can't use the excuse of No Mercy, because at least with No Mercy, they had to believe that people would be more focused on the presidential debate than the triple threat, than the pay-per-view, so they thought, let's put the main event into the beginning of the show. That at least made sense. Here, I don't know why. Because they thought a handicap match wouldn't do so good, even though that really could depend, considering how talented these guys are. But sure enough, AJ Styles and Owens and Zayn match do pretty alright. Though this did lead to a lingering question. Okay. I did like how Owens and Zayn kept using their advantage against them. And Styles, once again... Okay, I'm trying to wonder... What is really heelish about Owens and Zayn? Like, nothing about it screams the villains. They're taking advantage of something that they know that any wrestler could do, regardless of being a heel or a face. In fact, I'm pretty certain Triple H did that a lot, and he was a face for a lot of times. He was mostly heel, but yeah, he was a face at times. So, yeah, they managed to get like nearly 16 minutes into this matchup, which means that Lesnar would have to really work hard, and we all know he's not going to, because that would require too much effort to people he doesn't want to work with. So yeah, don't expect any greatness out of it. They would have to cram something in there in order to make it at least somewhat watchable. So, yeah, and in this... Okay. So, sorry about the yawn. It's a little late. So in this match, there were moments where Sami Zayn looked like and Owens were going to win the match. I actually thought, I was really interested to see how they would work this Co-WWE Championship thing. Not like cool. We want to forget that moment where they literally split the women's championships into 2 pieces. Why, still, I wonder. But, yeah. Owens, in the chaos, takes the fall, even though he didn't tag in Sami Zayn. And once again, yeah, what exactly did Owens and Sami Zayn do that were villainous? What, they got put in a handicap match? In fact, they do have a legitimate reason to say that they were screwed once again because the referee was being stupid. They can legitimately say that. He didn't tag in Sami Zayn. So, Sami Zayn and Owens were not tagged, so Sami was the legal man, yet Owens took the fall. So, and Shane McMahon admitted that, yeah, I saw it. I don't give 2 shits. So basically, You're just making Daniel Bryan more right and people wanting to see Bryan be directly in charge. And I was like, well, Shane just screwed them again. He's not going to grant them another chance. So, yeah, basically, Shane is effectively screwing them over for a huge technicality, even though everyone in the entire world saw it. And yet we're supposed to buy that Shane McMahon is the, quote, good guy, and Owens and Zayn are evil people. Even though they're not doing anything technically evil, they're airing their grievances and become increasingly frustrated. When that happens, they're really pushed over the edge. So, congrats, Zayn. What happened to Ty Dillinger in the Royal Rumble was 100% your fault. Oh, by the way, I'll get to that later. So, the Usos fight Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I was already knowing this was going to be a pretty good match, but here's the thing. They kept the first fall really long before we actually got a first fall. And yeah, the Usos get the victory, and then this is the part where, okay, now let's get to the second fall for Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. And then we can finally get into the real meat of the package here. Nope, that never happens. Instead, the Usos get another fall and win the match. And I was like, what? Like, it's surprising. Yeah. I would have loved if they went on a lot longer. But, yeah. Jimmy and Jey Uso, they're awesome. They're always freaking awesome. Even like before their huge heel turn, they were awesome as a team, but their gimmick just sucked. Well, eventually just got stale. And then when they turned heel, they got a huge rejuvenation. And yet, I was thinking that they were going to lose the belts because I'm trying to remember which Uso that got arrested. I thought that was going to get him stripped of the title in this matchup. But no, instead, driving under the influence now doesn't count. Yeah, I wonder how Jack Swagger feels or RVD feels hearing this. So hearing that one of the Usos can drive under the influence and still keep their title, whereas RVD, Jack Swagger, yeah, you drove under the influence. Fuck you. Because originally, RVD was going to be pushed as this top face of the company, or at least one of them, and Jack Swagger was supposed to beat Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania 29. So, yeah, and driving under the influence got them ripped of their opportunities, which I understand, but now WWE just basically said, yeah, fuck you both. The Usos get to keep their title reigns, even when one broke the law. And this is coming off the incident with Enzo Amore being accused. Oh, cutting corners has saved them again for some reason in their eyes. And then we get the Men's Royal Rumble match. Now, here's the thing. I was expecting that the Women's Royal Rumble match would go first, and then the Men's Royal Rumble match would go last, or vice versa. But instead, we get the Men's Royal Rumble match in the middle of the show, which is weird. And also, we get a number of big moments in here. Not only was Rusev Day seriously freaking over, not only was this an awesome matchup, not only did they get the right, a new talented guy to be pushed, right, not only did this happen, but in one show we got, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullet Club. We own the wrestling world. The Machine Gun Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, Finn Balor, or Prince Devitt, AJ Styles, and Adam Cole, baby! Yep. Those members of Bullet Club were on one show. Adam Cole and Prince Devitt were on the Royal Rumble. And yeah, it was pretty awesome to see the fact that all of them were in the same show, in the same building. In fact, I was talking to somebody on Twitter and saying, hey, imagine if all of them were in the match and they were the final guys in there. Imagine how freaking awesome that would be. Like, they go ahead and just do the Bullet Club gestures and the two sweet hand sign, and then they, like, out of respect start to fight. But, yeah. Baron Corbin, once again, is a pissed-off madman. He gets eliminated very early and goes on a rampage and beats the hell out of everybody. Specifically, Heath Slater. He was practically the punching bag until Slater eliminates Sheamus in mere seconds. Now, Sheamus will forever join the likes of Santino Marella and Titus O'Neil and anyone else who's been eliminated in less than 10 seconds. Yeah. And the New Day, with Kofi Kingston inbound, protect Kofi Kingston from being eliminated when his foot lands on Woods and the New Day springs him back into the ring, especially since, I don't know, they use pancakes. Yeah. So, yeah, we also got really big surprise entrants like Andrea Cien Almas with the NXT title belt, which I'm pretty sure pissed Dunn off and Vince, since, you know, the scum of the earth are showing up on their show in their eyes. We got Adam Cole. We got Stand Back. There's a hurricane coming through. Which, ironically, I was talking about him on the Royal Rumble build-up video when I mentioned why on the fucking name is there a grappling hook. So, I inadvertently predicted his return. And we also got Rey Mysterio. I am seriously hoping this is just a one-off appearance, because if he comes back, he's either going to be the general manager of 205 Live, or he's going to be on the 205 division and basically do crap. So, let's see. Seth Rollins monkey flips Cesaro out of the ring. And Big E feeds Slater pancakes. Fans scream with the passion of Rusev Day. And yeah, this was an awesome Royal Rumble. Like, I can honestly say, holy shit, that was an awesome Royal Rumble. And they actually got a new guy that is not an established veteran in WWE to win. Because according to the King, if it didn't happen in WWE, then it didn't happen. And really, Vince is the one speaking through King, so really he gets the blame for it. And there were some pretty awesome moments. Like, when Cena entered the ring with all the NXT guys. Now, normally I would go and say, oh, this is the moment where Vince gets a wet dream. And imagine Cena beating the crap out of all these NXT guys. Nope. Instead, we get the exact opposite. All the NXT guys who have either been screwed over, mishandled, doomed to fail because of Cena's arrogance, or been screwed over by Vince and Dunn for a variety of reasons because of a discriminatory attitude. They all proceed, you know what? Fuck it, let's beat him up. And they proceed to beat the crap out of Cena, which was freaking awesome. Like, Elias is like the only other proper booked NXT guy, but let's be honest, if he's feuding with Cena, his end is coming. So, yeah, they all just... Finn Balor joins up with fellow NXT stars and alumni to beat the crap out of one of the triumvirate. If they can't beat Vince and Dunn up without getting their asses fired and arrested, at least they'll beat up Cena. That's at least a joy they can take from it. Now imagine if this was the Nexus. All the Nexus members are back in the ring again, or at least some of them, and they joined in and beat the crap out of Cena for screwing them over at SummerSlam all those years ago. That would be freaking perfect. Yeah, and I was like laughing like, NXT is united for war. Yeah, really, several NXT versus WWE moments. I didn't think I would see that. Like, we got a moment where Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Roman Reigns, who were all from NXT once upon a time, taking on the established Vince McMahon guys of John Cena, Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio. They brawl. And then it goes down to New Japan Pro Wrestling versus WWE with Roman Reigns and Cena teaming up to take on Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. So let's see if I get this straight. This main roster show put not only multiple members of the Bullet Club on the show, not only showed more than one NXT star from the NXT division, but they had the NXT alumni beat the crap out of Cena. They've had the NXT stars stare down with the old generation. They've had the two favorite stars in WWE, Roman and Cena, fight New Japan Pro Wrestling's top guys. Okay, I'm fairly convinced Vince did not book this show. There is no goddamn way he booked this show. And then we get the ending where also Rey Mysterio hits the 619 on Cena and Reigns, which was freaking awesome. Rollins gets eliminated by Reigns. If only it led to a heel turn, it would have been awesome. So, yeah. And it comes down between Shinsuke Nakamura versus Roman Reigns. A match that Ryan Delbert predicted would happen at WrestleMania 32. Oh, wait, WrestleMania 33, I mean, which would have been a freaking awesome match. But, yeah, they decide to have this match on the Royal Rumble being the final two, and there was a huge moment I thought Reigns was going to win because it's Roman Reigns. Vince really loves him because he's an obsessive mad freak and is dedicated to ruining careers the opposite way, overbooking. But instead, we don't get that. Instead, Shinsuke Nakamura defeats Reigns without any assistances, so he basically beats him clean, so he joins the elite of the elite of those who have beaten Roman Reigns clean. So he joins Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar. Honestly, I was expecting Pete Dunne to show up because he hinted at that in NXT TakeOver where he says he'll gladly fight Brock Lesnar. Like, what better way than try to enter the Rumble match? And it was said he was skipping some house show. He was told they canceled some house show, some independent wrestling scenes he was supposed to go to heading into Royal Rumble. So now, Shinsuke Nakamura has given the choice now to choose which title does he want to go after. Brock Lesnar? Because, let's be honest, that's not going to happen. Or AJ Styles. He chose Styles, which means one thing. One of Wrestle Kingdom's best matches is going to main event WrestleMania. Wrestle Kingdom match on WrestleMania. Okay, is this supposed to be a sign that after what happened with Raw 25, Triple H just said, okay, Vince, fuck you, we're taking over now. And we're not waiting for your death, because let's be honest, that is a cruel way to think for people to say that they wish you die so Triple H can take over. Instead, we're going to take you from power now. So, yeah, Nakamura and Styles are going to be one of the main events. I'm not saying they're going to be the definitive main event, because that's clearly going to go to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, because Reigns is God, or Vince is Lord and Savior. Now, yeah, we had a lot of awesome moments in this match. It was fun, and they actually got a proper winner that is not a veteran in WWE or a guy that everyone saw coming and did not accept. So, yeah, following that, how do you top that? Well, Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan versus Cesaro and Sheamus happened. Oh. So, yeah, the only reason this match happened was to serve as a relaxation period. It was practically, in Vince's eyes, the bathroom break, even though it really isn't. And it turned into more of a 2-on-1 handicap match when Cesaro sends Jordan crashing into the ring post. And it's been said that the plan now is for Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan to fight at WrestleMania. Yeah, that's disappointing. So, yeah, Jason Jordan is now... Yeah, Rollins and Jason Jordan no longer tag team champions. Yeah, so that was happening. I knew it was coming. Like, everyone knew it was coming. They gotta build up Jason Jordan as a heel. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not gonna go over well for Seth Rollins. At least he'll be done with the mentor angle they're doing with him. Something I still question. And... yeah, it was freaking hilarious, of how freaking fake Jason Jordan was acting. Like, yeah, how many people have been in far worse, like, okay, did Johnny Gargano get his head smashed into the ring post and that was more legitimately real instead of what Jason Jordan got through into? If I compare that to him, compare Johnny Gargano and Jason Jordan, yeah, Johnny Gargano could legitimately claim that he's out. Like, yet he still managed to stand up for about a good 30 seconds before being struck by Tommaso Ciampa. But, yeah, he still stood up, whereas Jason Jordan just sat down. So, yeah, and I'm surprised Corey Graves mentioned his career-ending concussion. I would think they would not mention that for him, because it's still uncomfortable since he was supposed to get some big push on the main roster eventually, but then the concussions happened and he was forced to retire. Unfortunately. Yeah, Corey Graves' time as a wrestler seems really forgotten now, I bet. So, now let's get to what many people would look at as the bathroom match. Brock Lesnar versus Kane versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. Considering that Kane is there and they keep trying to put up like he's still a threat, and the fact Strowman is said to be taking on The Miz at WrestleMania for the IC title, yeah, Kane's going to take the fall. So, considering that these are two guys Lesnar clearly has shown he does not give two cares about working with, they instead have to go ahead and rely on more destructive-based elements such as weapons, tables, destruction, weapons, tables, mostly destruction, and destroying announce tables. Surprisingly, they destroyed almost all of them instead of just the Spanish announce table, because fuck the Spanish people for some reason in Vince's eyes. So, yeah. And I was surprised they didn't do the Tombstone Pile Driver. Like, Kane and Undertaker were the only ones allowed to nowadays. I would think that Kane would do it, but they didn't. And, yeah, Lesnar retains, so really, yeah. And once again, Strowman has to keep trying to get momentum back by screaming at the top of his lungs, "Go to peg me!" Which is realistically understandable, except he did pin him back at No Mercy months ago. But because if they acknowledge that, they would have to acknowledge Strowman beating the crap out of Lesnar heading into No Mercy. They will not do that. So, yeah, it's still disappointing that Strowman is still not taking Lesnar's spot, even though everyone and their grandmother would want it, because at least Strowman puts in the effort now more than Lesnar does, unless it's somebody he likes. Or he's forced to because it's Reigns and Cena, but mostly he'll only give the true effort unless it's someone he likes. So, good luck, everybody. We got Roman Reigns versus Lesnar. That's practically guaranteed at this point. So now, with Lesnar retaining this title, he will now take his check, and we will not see him again. At least in heading into WrestleMania. I mean, like, after Elimination Chamber, then he'll be back to doing stuff. Like, will you really think he's going to do something at Fastlane? Or Elimination Chamber? Yeah, right. So, now we get to the main event of the show. The Women's Royal Rumble match. First time ever. Did I mention it was first time ever? Did I mention Stephanie McMahon is going to sit on commentary? Wait, what? Yeah, I didn't mention this before, but Stephanie is going to be on commentary. For some reason. And now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever heard her on commentary, so she doesn't have the practice for it. So that's concerning. And... oh, man. A lot of people are starting to go on Twitter and saying this is political correctness because nothing in this Women's Royal Rumble match being built up had anything interesting other than its first time ever, which is understandable, but the political correctness, I would not be surprised if that was legitimately the case in WWE because they are politically correct nowadays. Since, you know, they're very confusing on their belief that this will offend people, yet will do the attempted murder angles. So, yeah. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch entered, so they're going to lose. And then we got a lot of returning wrestlers. We got Lita, Kelly, Michelle McCool, for some reason Vicky Guerrero, and Molly Holly, Beth Phoenix, Trish Stratus even, Tori Wilson. And we also got NXT guest Kairi Sane and Ember Moon, also with the NXT Championship of the Women's Division, symbolizing Vince's hatred. So let's see. We've had Andrade Cien Almas, we've had Adam Cole, we've had Kairi Sane and Ember Moon show up. 4 NXT main event stars, all in one building. And Vince is not having a freaking aneurysm. I'll be amazed by that. And let's not forget that most of the stars now are all NXT based. They're just called up, or quote, promoted. So, yeah. And then we got Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose and all of Absolution with the exception of Paige. And every time I heard her theme song during the entrances was seriously depressing. And everyone had been theorizing that this was going to lead to Absolution and Riot Squad finally teaming up. Yeah, that happened once, and then they just started fighting each other. So clearly this is no longer the plan, that they're really working for Paige. Unless this is trying to be slow burn and they're just trying to fool people. But WWE is not known to do that nowadays. And then we got Lana doing virtually... oh, and reason why Vicky Guerrero was out here was because she was one of the most powerful women. Therefore, that clearly means that her screaming at the top of her lungs is clearly wrestling worthy. And of course, Carmella gets the Eddie Slater treatment by getting hit in the head with her briefcase. And remember how it was said that they don't want to call it the Money in the Bank briefcase? Yeah, that was solidified the moment Michael Cole said the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then he slipped himself and said, the Money in the Bank contract. And I was like, it's a goddamn briefcase. It has the contract, yes, but it's a goddamn briefcase. It's not the paper. It's not the paperwork or whatever symbolizes the contract. Just say briefcase. Why do you have to make so many unnecessary changes? I'm not going to look at the briefcase and say, oh, that's clearly the contract. No, it's the briefcase that symbolizes the contract. Can't you? But like, or at least the briefcase that holds the contract. So, why? Oh, God. Though, I was disappointed with one key thing. Why wasn't Nikki Cross not in this match? No, seriously. Ruby Riot's in this match. Would it have been awesome if they put Nikki Cross in there and they just start fighting each other like the crazy girls they are, like in NXT? Oh, and they acknowledge Ember Moon and Asuka's past. Continuity finally taking place between NXT and WWE? Yeah, this is why I'm refusing to believe Vince McMahon was booking the show. There is no way Vince would acknowledge all this. And then the Bella Twins return. Why? So, yeah, the wife of Daniel Bryan and the soon-to-be wife of John Cena are practically in this match and are in the finals. Whoop-de-doo. Like, I'm not denying that they have some talent, but at the same time, let's be real. Would they really have been getting the big push they got if they weren't dating very powerful people in the company? At least Bryan's humble, so Brie was interested in a more proper gentleman than egotistical John Cena, who many people couldn't make reasonable doubts on whether or not he cheated on his wife with Nikki, because the timing of their relationship going public was a little too soon since the divorce would happen a month prior. Yeah, I am still questioning that. I'm not going to make my conspiracy videos about it, but I still question it because it is a little weird that the timing was just seriously strange. But I am no expert on their love life, so let's move on. So, yeah, it comes down to Nikki Bella. I'm pretty sure that's why they didn't want to bring in Nikki Cross, because that would apparently confuse people. And to the Empress of Tomorrow. So, yeah. And I was wondering, why couldn't you, like, sacrifice Kelly Kelly? She wasn't that great of a wrestler, and wasn't her most memorable stuff doing mostly striptease in ECW back when it was actually, you know, feeling like it was an ECW show before they really revamped it into whatever the hell we got out of it, especially when it hit PG rating. So, yeah. And the Empress of Tomorrow eliminates Nikki Bella to be the last woman standing. And then we get this moment where is Asuka going to choose Charlotte, or is she going to choose Alexa Bliss? But before she can make her decision, guess who shows up? Ronda Rousey shows up after the match. And this was a huge moment because they hinted at several matches with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey versus Asuka, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte, Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss, and Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon. So, yeah, and the smile of arrogance and confidence on her, and then reports start coming out that she signed a full-time contract. Yeah, then I was like thinking like, so let's see if I get this straight. This very historical moment was sort of sacrificed just to get shock value over Ronda Rousey's impending debut, even though everybody knew about it like 2 weeks prior. Okay, that seems like high priority. So, like, everyone knew she was going to show up. I was just surprised she didn't show up in the match. So now Ronda Rousey's in WWE, and apparently she's not going to be given the Brock Lesnar treatment of a part-time contract, which does lead to the question how she'll react if she loses, considering what happened when she lost in UFC after her debut at WrestleMania 31, and then all these reports came out about her psychological state after she suffered her first UFC loss. Yeah, I am wondering how that would work. And I've already talked about Ronda Rousey and why it might be hard to push her the way she could be in the main roster, because if she gets pushed in the Brock Lesnar manner, people will get sick of her. If they push her in the full-time status, she'll just beat everybody. And then we'll have the situation like with Asuka, where they practically ran out of opponents for her. So, yeah. So, yeah, Ronda Rousey comes in. So, we got Ronda Rousey, and it looks like she's either going to fight one of those the four women, or she's going to go after Charlotte, since that was hinted a lot. And that would tie into the Mae Young Classic build that they were doing at the Mae Young Classic, where they mentioned Ronda Rousey and the four horsewomen of NXT and UFC crossing paths, and Ronda Rousey saying anytime, anywhere fight. Yeah. And there was one big missed opportunity here. Trish Stratus and Lita able to make it with each other in the ring to stare down with the Bella Twins. Because there were rumors once upon a time that they were considering doing that matchup. Yeah. And Naomi also got a highlight where she decides to basically pull 3 of the Kofi Kingston maneuvers to get back into the ring. Yeah. Like, She gets caught by her fellow women after Nia Jax throws her out of the ring. She gets on the security barricade, walks on top of them, and then gets on the chair and uses her hands to get to the chair. So she did basically every Kofi Kingston maneuver he's done in the last 10 years. So now she has virtually nothing unique for the Royal Rumble in the future. And yeah. So yeah, they got that right. So, and then I came to a profound realization after the show. Right before I started recording, I said this on Twitter. I just realized something. 2 Japanese wrestlers just won the Rumble, and not one of them is an evil foreigner. And when I told someone on Twitter, they were like, holy shit, you're right. So, yeah, think about it. Normally, if a foreigner wins, they're for some reason portrayed as the devil according to Vince, because xenophobia is really the norm for him. But the fact that these are 2 Japanese wrestlers who aren't foreign, who aren't evil, and are actually faces, is actually an accomplishment in and of itself. I even wrote on Twitter hashtag new ground, because this is breaking new ground. The stereotypes of evil foreigners have been broken, at least for one night, most likely. But hopefully it will be long term. But yeah, this Royal Rumble was pretty great. It's hard to say if this beat NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. That's really hard to debate. But now we got Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler in both WWE and in NXT, so eventually their paths are going to cross. No idea if the other 2 4 horsewomen of UFC are going to show up eventually in the future. Their training for wrestling kind of stopped and they went somewhere else. But it's most likely they're going to follow WWE soon with their fellow horsewomen. And then we'll get the legendary UFC versus NXT horsewomen match. So that's going to be something if that happens. WrestleMania's in full swing. We got Nakamura versus Styles as one of the key main events. So that's going to be pretty freaking awesome. And really, I knew NXT would win Royal Rumble weekend. I just know that Royal Rumble wasn't going to be as bad as Raw 25 unless they screwed up the Royal Rumble matches majorly. But surprisingly, they didn't. Yeah. So, oh man. This is going to be an interesting road to WrestleMania. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I just realized something. Yeah, I was about to think of it. Yeah, I came to this realization about something, but now I've lost it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Something I really, really, really freaking hate when that happens. But also, I did love Sasha Banks finally double-crossing Bayley. However, it might not be the heel turn, even though Corey Grace is saying it is. But I did love that Banks actually kind of went heelish a bit. You know, showing the boss heel we always love to see. When she got all arrogant and screaming, "I'm ready for Asuka!" And Ronda Rousey did show up in a Rowdy Piper-inspired gear, which she did dedicate to Rowdy Piper. May he rest in peace. So, yeah, 2 foreign-based wrestlers are faces, and they win the Royal Rumble match, as opposed to going safe route because Vince is an idiot. So, yeah. And the fact that, yeah, I knew this show was going to be better than Raw 25 after the epic disaster that was. And that was the saddest thing I ever saw on Raw. Especially for those in the Manhattan Center. I'm still tempted to talk about that. So, those were my thoughts on the Royal Rumble 2018 pay-per-view. This was Neo Reality Arrington. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to for more. And welcome everyone to the road to WrestleMania.